Hey everyone, my name is Brigid. I'm the plus size reader, and today I wanted to talk to you about Defend the Dawn by Brigid Kemmerer. More specifically, this is going to be a recap of what happened in this book as we prepare for the next one. Despite this being a journey book, which as most of you who have been following my channel for the past few years know, I am not a journey second book person. And as soon as I saw that this was going to be a journey second book, I was like, no, because I didn't love that in her last series. I will say that this one was done so much better and that like things actually happened and it wasn't too long and drawn out, which I think is the big problem when a lot of people write journey second books. So what happened? What happened in Defend the Dawn? The book starts out with giving us a new perspective, one that we haven't seen before. It wasn't Wes, it wasn't Tessa, and it wasn't Korik. It was the outlaw. And we find that there is somebody who is kind of taking up where Wes and Tessa left off. They are walking through the wilds and delivering coins and money to the people that live there who can't afford to live. We don't know who this is, and we're kind of not really given any clues. We just know that he gets caught by this little girl named Violet, and she starts calling him Fox. When we open back on Wes and Tessa, we find out that the book picks up right where it left off. There was just this rebellion. Lachlan, who was the leader of the rebels from the wilds, who were rebelling because they're not getting enough medicine from the moonflower that is fighting against this sickness that has been basically taking over the entire land of Kendala. And they were fighting back against the rich sector, the royal sector, who has more than enough medicine that they need. This rebellion is basically thwarted by Tessa and their trust for Tessa because she was helping them all along. And Tessa helps kind of create a bridge of communication between including Lachlan and the rebels and King Harriston and Korik in discussions to move forward from here. So while these discussions have kind of started, nothing has really happened. And one day, a ship shows up, and they have no idea who this ship is, where they came from, what they want. Korik finds out that this ship is captained by a man named Ryan. Ryan says that he is the son of a spy that was sent from Kendala to their neighboring kingdom, the kingdom of Austriary. Hopefully I said that right. They have all of the like rings and logs and documents from Harriston and Korik's father, the previous king, to prove that he is who he says he is. Needless to say, they're super suspicious of this new visitor and this crew. But Ryan, the captain, comes saying that he has plenty of moonflower to trade for steel, which is the product of Kendala, in order to help rebuild his country after the country has gone through this war, once their king died and there were multiple heirs to the throne fighting over the throne. While all this is happening, we kind of get a view as to what is going on between Korik and Tessa, which isn't much. They kind of are like a little at odds, not really at odds. They had this kind of like hidden, secret, little tiny relationship, but Tessa is starting to see that Korik is still the prince, or the king's hand guard, I can't remember what they call him, that doles out the punishments, and everybody still hates him, and she's kind of afraid of him. So needless to say, their relationship is kind of rocky, which is really sad. Back to this visitor, Captain Ryan. He wants to make the trade. Now, because of the history with Prince Korik and King Harriston, they are really nervous because they had basically a rebellion of their conciliators, the counselors that run the other sectors of the kingdom, coming up and fighting against the king and queen and assassinating his parents. They are super hesitant about trusting anyone. We find out that Alexander says that he can't provide as much moonflower as he was providing before. He says that there's a lot of other factors that are stopping him from being able to do this. So it is more appealing to Korik and Harriston, knowing that they might have another source from the outside of moonflower bringing it into this country. But Alexander does not like that. He wants to be the only source of moonflower that is feeding Kandala this medicine. So it's decided that Korik is going to go with Captain Ryan back to negotiate a treaty of trade with the Kingdom of Austriary. On this trip, he's going to bring Tessa because Tessa will be able to determine if the moonflower is real and that they're not being played, and that they get enough to actually help the kingdom. He's also going to bring Lachlan, the leader of the rebels, and they say that this has a couple reasons. One, because Korik, the King's Justice, is not there. He wants to make sure that there's not going to be any uprisings from Lachlan while the King's Justice is gone. But also it's to help develop like a relationship between the kingdom and the rebels, and to help them know that they are actually caring about them and they do want to give them medicine, which the rebels still don't trust. They're also going to bring, I believe, 3 guards total. And Ryan's stipulation was that none of the guards could be sailors, but they kind of do this underhandedly. Rocco, the main guard for Korik, does have sailing experience, but they don't tell anybody that. The reason that he doesn't want this is because the oceans between Austriary and Kandala are super, super treacherous, and that protects the Kingdom of Austriary, that nobody can approach their kingdom. So while Korik and Tessa are on this boat, there's a lot of tension between Korik and Ryan, because Ryan is very flirtatious with Tessa. Like, there's a lot of flirting and trying to like get her to open up to him, and Korik is not having that. Back in the kingdom, we find out that the outlaw is actually King Harriston, and that he has been sneaking out and giving the people money, just like Korik used to do. One night we find out that Harriston is there to kind of hear this rebel gathering. He meets somebody who helps him, give him moonflower. They are attacked by the night guard, and that man ends up dying. Harriston ends up getting wounded, taking shelter in Violet's barn until she can go get help, specifically Quint and some of the other guards, to come get him and save him. But at this little rebel meeting, he found out that it was his conciliators who were actually lying to the rebels and telling them that Harriston was trying to poison them all. And he found out that the head of his king's guard is on their side. So there's a lot of treachery going along right now. Violet ends up getting Quint and a couple guards who Harriston trusts, and they escape. And they find out that there's actually a price on the king's head, or a reward on the king's head. So all of Korik and Harriston's fears are like starting to come true. So they basically run away and escape, and they try to get help from Carrie, who is Tessa's best friend and Lachlan's girlfriend. Meanwhile, on the ship, there are things happening that Korik is not happy with. There's a lot of just kind of like scenes where they get to know each other on the trip, a lot of just dribbles of information, but we find out that there is a locked room on the ship that Ryan refuses to let anybody see what's inside. It said that it is a like armory and it's heavily stocked, but he can't see what it is. So after a night of fighting between Korik and Tessa, about Korik admitting that he's jealous of Ryan, and Tessa talking to him about all of his damage and trauma and mistrust, they kind of make up. Tessa decides that she wants to help Korik and is going to break into this room because she used to be a thief. So Korik creates a distraction, he gets into a fight, Tessa breaks into this room. Lo and behold, they find it's not an armory, but they've actually been keeping a woman prisoner in there. The woman is the daughter of one of the men who was trying to take over the throne in Austriary. The ship gets attacked by 2 ships that are flying Kandalan flags. Korik swears that Harriston did not send any ships to track them or try to sink the ship, that he wouldn't do that. They don't know where these ships came from, but they do get attacked. Shipmates die, there's a lot of damage to the ship, and then they end up surviving that attack. But then they end up going and being attacked again by the man whose daughter is being held on the ship. Meanwhile, back in Kandala, Harriston is trying to heal from his attack. Carrie is helping him do that. And she actually says that she is going to help King Harriston because She knows that the people are being lied to, that they are trying to help, that he didn't try to kill Lachlan by sending him off on this trip. And so she promises Harriston to get him the rebel army to fight back against the turned Kingsguard and the traitor Conciliators. She ends up calling a big meeting of all of the people, and he reveals himself as Fox, the one who has been helping them for the past few months, and as the king who wants to have them help him fight back against his own royal sector. Meanwhile, there is a battle going on between, I can't remember his first name, and I tried to find it. For some reason, I'm thinking it's Orin, but it's something with an O, and the last name is Crane. And he is one of the men who had claimed that he was going to take over the throne of Austriary. And he's kind of like this pirate, and he is attacking Ryan's ship with all of them on it. The ship is taking an absolute beating. People have died. Things are on fire. Like, it's absolute chaos. And as Tessa is on the deck of the ship, they get hit with a cannonball, and all of a sudden, Korik is gone. She's devastated. He's missing. Other people are dead. The guards are dead. The only one that's left is Rocco. She tells him once they safely land in Austriary that she wants him to teach her to fight. But we also found out that Ryan has been lying to them this whole time. And the reason why he's being attacked by Crane is because he's actually the king of Austriary. And he had lied with all this documentation and things from the ship to Harriston and Korik, saying that he was the spy's son, but really he just knew the spy's son. And he was coming to try to negotiate as king of Austriary to get everything that he needed for his people. So he's really the king, and that's why he's being attacked by Crane, because Crane wants the throne, and now Korik's gone, and people are dead, and things are bad. And then in the last scene of the book, we realize that Lachlan also went missing on the ship. He was washed up on shore, and we are left with Korik being told by Lachlan to tell him his name. Wes, tell him his name. And he introduces himself to Mr. Crane as Weston Lark. So now they don't know that they have Prince Korik, the Prince of Kandala, the King's Justice, and he's alive, thank God. But that ending, you guys, like, sets us up for so much. Like, and it's hard to do a recap of this book because there's so many political maneuverings that like happen throughout the whole book. It's just information. That's I think the biggest thing with these journey books is that it's just a way to give information, to have conversations, to make things happen without actually having a lot of movement and plot happen. And so it's really hard to recap those kinds of books. So I did my best. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. Like, this was all based on memory. Definitely reread the book if you feel like you want to be more crisp and clear on the changes in the political maneuvering. I tried to give an overview. Well, I must find out what happens with Weston Lark and Korik, and I really, really hope we get some more relationship time with him and Tessa, like fixing things a little bit more in the next book, but hopefully that will at least refresh your memory for reading book 3, which I'm so excited for. Thanks for checking in and going over what happened in Defend the Dawn with me today. Can't wait to talk to you more about the next book. And don't forget, you can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at The Fun Size Reader. See you guys next time.